Welcome to the bold analysis. I was going through the comments section in our videos and someone asked me a question and I decided to put up this podcast to answer that question. What one of our subscribers asked there was, Kevin, where is Dennis Itumbi? I don't know why people will ask where is Dennis Itumbi. But for obvious reasons, Dennis Itumbi is amongst the communication strategists that were working under the office of the president. Now, if you look at his social media page, it is indeed true that for the last 1 month, something very unusual of Itumbi, there have been no post, or rather there have been no communication that is on the government agenda, and what he's been doing is a bit of posting his personal projects and then just some dots, not communicating anything. While at this time, the government formed the broad-based government. The broad-based government is not getting acceptability per se as it might be needed. But of course, there have been attempts, it is customary of Kenya Kwanza to try to control any narrative around them. So the man that builds and controls the narratives at times is none other than Dennis Itumbi. In fact, I'm one person that believes Dennis Itumbi is part of the communication structure. And what he was just supposed to do is just try to spin and defend what's to be defended and try to control, especially in the digital space. So it's not much on writing president speeches, but on the digital space, what is the Twitter, and, monitoring what are the people saying about government, can also give response and try to give a position. So he had tried to establish a niche, but exclusive report are showing that his absence from the limelight could be amongst the casualties that are now facing the chopping board. And this, to just make you understand, the president, during that roundtable, the last roundtable with the mainstream editors, William Ruto confessed that around the finance bill, even though I don't agree with him on this, but he's saying that communication team failed him.
That's why Linus,
yes.
That's why we are here. Of course, it's not going to be business as usual with the kind of reality we are faced with now. It has to be different.
Do you regret anything at all? What you should have done better? What your people would have done better?
Well, maybe there are things we should have done better. We should have communicated better. I think the biggest problem we have, even with the finance bill, because the finance bill has great things for Kenya. The finance bill says we shouldn't be importing potatoes from Europe. The finance bill says we shouldn't be importing onions or eggs from Europe. The finance bill says we should be growing our own industries. We should be manufacturing diapers in Kenya. We have 10 companies doing that. We should be manufacturing all those things in Kenya. We should be expanding our manufacturing capacity. That is what finance bill was talking to. But I am sure we will recover that when we have explained.
Yeah.
The biggest challenge that I regret is that we didn't communicate better. Maybe we failed in explaining to Kenyans what the finance bill was all about. Because I promise you, if I am given a chance to explain to the people of Kenya what was in the finance bill and what the finance bill would have done for this country, every Kenyan would have agreed with me. But my regret is that
they would say you were here, Mr. President. They said you would have explained.
We didn't explain ourselves better. Maybe my communication team failed. Maybe I'm sure my communication team failed. Our communication architecture did not deliver, did not get the message out to the people of Kenya.
Yeah.
In fact, if you look at what people were saying, they were saying, for example, there is a matter of land on the finance bill. There was no matter of land in the finance bill, not even a single line.
Mm. So he accepted that communication team failed him. I don't agree with him that his communication team failed him. And I will and make sure what to the end, because I'll give that answer. Even though you can also tell me, do you believe that the protest that was experienced in the country, it was largely or partly caused by lack of the president's team to communicate? Because even last year, I don't think there is anything new they were supposed to do that they had not been doing. They've been doing the ordinary. But I'll explain. But prior to that, 2 weeks ago, government spokesperson Itumbi-Mwaura, and I think this is the day after the protest, I remember, himself, he requested for an interview in Citizen TV, and probably was to explain, yes, I remember, this is the day that government had dissolved its cabinet. And he requested for a slot so that he will give probably a government position on the state of the nation, only for that interview to be cancelled last minute. You can pick it from this lady here.
You know what? Atasika, Itumbi-Mwaura, the current government spokesperson, on 2nd of July, unprovoked, asked for an interview on a local TV station to address the situation of the country amidst the chaos caused by the Finance Bill 2024, but then ended up not showing up. Do you know what else doesn't show up? The promises government officials make during campaigns before being elected. So really, as a government official, he is on brand. But since nobody can stop reggae, not even the government spokesperson, the news buddy from the local TV station, Yvonne Okwara, went on with the news on her explainer segment. What do you think, tribe? Did Itumbi-Mwaura develop cold feet? Ama maybe alichelewa kwa jam, because the looters blocked the road. So maybe that was the cause for the no-show.
So this is what I'm talking about. So he did communicate. And people complained, why would a government spokesperson who is supposed to defend the government even ask for an interview only again to disappear? But it's been going on, I know someone may want to ask, what's the difference between, president's team, or rather Kenya Kwanza have so many communication people that are supposed to communicate. There is the government spokesperson, Itumbi-Mwaura, who has 2 deputies. To date, I still understand. I don't understand why those 2 deputies and what those 2 deputies do, if it is not just the job being created for other people. So 2 deputies are there. And in State House, there is a State House spokesperson. And that State House spokesperson is supposed to be none other than Hussein Mohammed. And again, there is press secretary, someone whose role is to invite the media and organize it. Now that is Emmanuel Talam, who had worked with the president when he was the deputy president back then, a very seasoned journalist. Now, 2 weeks ago, so all this team are supposed to be, at least one way or the other. We've been seeing Emmanuel Talam inviting the media. Of course, some of the media invites that have been sent to emails, it has been sent by Emmanuel Talam. I think for his case, you can see. There will be some dispatch from Hussein Mohammed, cabinet dispatch. We get the cabinet dispatch from him, what has been discussed in cabinet, so that we get from him. But these 2 gentlemen, Itumbi-Mwaura and Itumbi, have relatively gone quiet. In fact, I can say this. Mwaura was a politician. And I personally said that it was one of the worst picks for Kenya Kwanza. I want to pick Mwaura for that position, being that looking at his past record, how he really behaved with the former president Uhuru Kenyatta. But this communication problem, the Dennis Itumbi camp had issues in the past, because I remember the last explosive rally that Rigathi Gachagua did in Nyeri. And that was the time the president probably, I remember the president was in Italy to attend, he was attending I think in Switzerland, to attend the Ukraine, it was the Ukraine-Russia Peace Summit, and the G7 in Italy. During that time, Rigathi Gachagua was held a rally in Nyeri, and complained that there are people who are friends of the president and president bloggers that wanted to control him.
Mimi nitapangiwa kazi yangu na Rais William Ruto. lakini hakuna waziri, hakuna PA ya president, hakuna mabloga ya president, watapakia mimi kazi yangu. Na mimi niwaambie hawa wasiniuzie uoga. Hawa watu waliniona mimi usiku. Manyo nete otuko. Neguo. Nimokwenda manjana dieguoya. Nimokwenda manjana dieguoya. Niye dieta kelio guoya ne mondo niende mwana wa mau. Mimi nilifanya kazi hapa ya kampeni ya Rais William. Mliniona hamkuniona? Nilimwambia mnifuate tuunge rais mkono. Nilimwambia sikumwambia. Sasa mimi nimeona tukisema jamii ya mlima iungane, wanasema ati sisi ni wakabila. Jamii zingine zinaungana. Nimeona leo Johnston Muthama wameshikana na Kalonzo, wanasema Wakamba waungane. Na hiyo hakuna mtu anasema ni ukabila.
Now, this is a testament. If he was talking about president's bloggers, this is a testament that things have been going on. When I was just doing my research, I've realized two things have happened in this month of July. The president met some bloggers and Kenya Kwanza bloggers. These Kenya Kwanza bloggers, and they were supposed to, I don't know, communicate what government is doing on many fronts. And the Dennis Itumbi was not there. During that round table with the mainstream editors, Dennis Itumbi was also not seen. Probably even in the background. So, looking, and of course, with the changing political discourse, the political arrangements under that broad-based thing, there are more changes that are expected. And even listened to Mbadi today when Mbadi was in Parliament, not today, that is on Saturday, when he was appearing on Parliament for that vetting, he was saying that the communication, government communication, have to be at its best moving forward. So, where is Itumbi? And what probably brought about that communication breakdown now? This is the point I want to answer the president on what the president was saying, that his team let him down. And I want to disagree. Mr. President, I think in Kenya Kwanza, it is not his communication team that let him down. In the first place, before I even explain that, something happened. When they were campaigning, there were some UDA bloggers that campaigned for William Ruto. And these UDA bloggers became so disappointed when some Azimio bloggers were bought. And that is my friend I once interviewed, Pius, and I think Abuga, quite crossed. And there was quite a number of Azimio bloggers that crossed now to join government. One has gone quiet, that lady. One lady has gone quiet. But there are quite a number of them that were bought on the other side. And they were really complaining that we campaigned for Kenya Kwanza. So initial team that campaigned for Kenya Kwanza, those ones were left. They brought in the new team that they had acquired from the other side of Azimio la Umoja. But what is causing the collapse of the communication now? That is critically important. And that is what I want to explain. There is something that you need to agree. And that is why I disagree with William Ruto that his team let him down. It is not his team. The breakdown was because of hostility and collapse of some hostility that government policies were receiving in public, the backlash, and collapse of some very highly hyped projects. I want to use two examples. One, on hostility on government policy, and probably something at two things. Look at the housing levy. The housing levy was exhausted in the country, and the country said, we don't want it. We don't want the houses. Our problem is not housing. Don't take our money. You know, by the way, even if it is subjected to a public participation for people to decide, people said no to housing levy. Now, how would you expect the team to come up and say this is going on? It will have been a problem. There was a problem on it. So it was hostility. Look at the move from NHIF to SHIF. The NHIF to SHIF, people could not understand that transition and what was the essence of that transition. Of course, the framers, the ministry is saying they want to solve the fictitious, the fraud at the NHIF, where people will just throw in claims that are not legitimate for them just to scoop some funding. to scoop some funding. And people kept on asking, so if that is the problem, the corruption in NHIF, how is movement to shift going to solve it? You just needed to revamp NHIF. Now, it would be difficult for people to defend. If you look at some proposals on housing levy, on the finance bill that was dropped, it was bordering taxation. If something was going to increase the cost of fuel, road maintenance levy, something like the VAT returns on bread that was supposed to be scrapped. These were very unpopular policies that even if you would expect someone in the communication to pass the information and defend you, it was actually a tall order. And still to add on that, Hustler Fund. Hustler Fund, when it started, they were giving updates. They were giving daily updates, in fact, weekly updates. It was being done by this Itumbi, just telling people the progress and how it was a very glamorous success. Only 2 years later, for the country to be told about how there is a scandal that bedeviled the program. How do you expect them to do? Now, just to support my point on this, apart from the Itumbis and the communication team that President Ruto was actually blaming, do you realize that even UDA MPs stopped talking about Kenya Kwanza administration success? So it's not just about the communication team. So the breakdown is not on some individuals, but looking at how the approach that was taken, it is very clear that some individuals were actually sacrificed on it. Number two, there was dependence on propaganda. You know, Kenya Kwanza, by the way, if there is something, and if there is a transition that never happened well, is transition from messaging during campaign trail and messaging when people are in government. It didn't happen. Sometimes you'll see what the Itumbis are posting and you wonder, really, are they communication specialists? Are they still bloggers just campaigning for the president? What exactly is their role? You cannot still find it because they turned to be spin masters. So that became a bit of a challenge. Number three, and I think this is key. Remember during when this protest started, there were arbitrary arrests and abductions. And I attended one of these spaces. When Itumbi said, and that was Osama was arrested, and he was saying that he has spoken with the security officers and have said that people are free to express themselves and they should not be harassed. Kenya Kwanza promised not to go down that route because he was also affected by it. So these people realized, and probably Itumbi might have crossed path with some security officers when he said he was coming out to support the members of the public in the face of those abductions or rather those arrests. Members of public say abductions, the security officers say we arrest. So there is a difference between abduction and arrest. Many of us may not know the difference. So I also see probability of Itumbi crossing path with some figures within Kenya Kwanza. The other thing is Rigathi mudslinging backfired. When Rigathi complained, you could see State House releasing all manner of funny videos when Rigathi was in State House. And Rigathi even at some point stopped going to State House. For 1 month, Rigathi was not attending State House events. So, you know, this team, and I can still say here, there was a lot of politics. People got a bit excited by the Ruto Rigathi fallout. But after that rally, that explosive rally in Nyeri, Rigathi showed Ruto he's not a pushover. And yet to go back for Ruto. These impeachment stories you are hearing, this is part of just, it's part of narrative building. It's part of the long shot. But in real sense, Ruto brought back Rigathi under his armpit. So what happened clearly here is that Rigathi mudslinging expired. And that was the big deal. I remember when Rigathi team were doing I'm a Villager, there was a lot of narrative on the other side or nationalism. So this thing, they got occupied with it. So by the time the president was going back to Rigathi might have requested that, look here, so and so who are against me, I cannot work around them. Lastly, there could have been some unmet expectations. Probably someone was promised CIS, those CISs were there, it didn't work. Someone promised, I'll give you this, it didn't work. Because Ikazia, go there, go here, go there, probably is not it. And if it's a matter of deal gone wrong, it's about it. But I think I've tried to give an answer to a concerned viewers here who are asking about the communication breakdown. Ladies and gentlemen, That is our last for today. Let's meet tomorrow. Thank you.